Now I'd like to turn to Representative Doug Lamborn, my friend from Colorado, who has the privilege and does such a great job representing one of the most military-intense districts in the country that I had the opportunity to visit in the Air Force Academy around Memorial Day, and appreciate your leadership on this issue. So I recognize you for whatever you would like to share.
Well, I thank the gentlelady from Missouri for her leadership. Mr. Speaker, today's veto from the President breaks dangerous new ground for callous disregard for the needs of our men and women in uniform. While he worked so hard to make sure that the Iranian military had the funding they needed via his disastrous nuclear deal, today he chose to willfully disregard the needs of our own military to make a political point with his veto. The presidency has sunk to a new low today. For the first time in history, an American president has vetoed a defense bill because of issues that the bill itself cannot possibly address. Most of us here in Congress agree that defending our nation is the first and most important priority, a sacred constitutional duty we have to protect the American people and to keep us safe in an increasingly dangerous world. Tragically, President Obama is willing to hold defense hostage to try to get more money for agencies like the IRS and the EPA. All of this while we remain at war with extremist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS that want to attack America. All this while we still are having troops killed overseas, including some from Colorado. This is pretty simple, really. This administration wants to cut our military and increase spending almost everywhere else. Our troops have already endured massive cuts similar in size to the Clinton drawdown in the 90s, although this time global threats are rising, not falling. On top of all this, the President wants to send Guantanamo detainees to U.S. soil, including to my own district in Colorado, and is also issuing his veto for this reason. Look, terrorists will find a reason to hate us no matter what happens in Guantanamo. I ask my colleagues, are we willing to let this happen on our watch? To my fellow Republicans who are rightly concerned about out-of-control federal spending and an out-of-control federal debt, please hear me when I say we are working on real reform and real accountability for the large defense budget. But please also hear me when I say that defense is simply not the driver of our debt, especially over the long term. Defense spending ensures and protects our way of life. I strongly urge my colleagues to do the right thing for our military and the right thing for America, override President Obama's reckless and truly dangerous veto. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, because you raise a very good point as far as spending goes, in that this bill, the NDAA, provides the exact amount of funding for our defense that the President requested.
Down to the penny.
We worked hard to come up with that, but we made sure that our troops had the funding they need, and yet he is the Commander-in-Chief. He requested $612 billion. We gave him $612 billion in this bill, and then he vetoes it.
It makes no sense. It's dangerous, and he's doing it for political reasons that can't be solved in this bill.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Thank you for your comment.